Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Infrastructure Podcast. My name is Chad Smeltzer. I am your host. Today's guest is Sanjay Poojary, who is with Saye Life.
Saya Life.
Saye Life. I thank you for joining me, man. Appreciate it. It's been a pleasure to know you. I've known you for at least, what has it been? Almost 2 years now, a year and a
Two,
half, something like that.
3 years now. This is the third year. Yeah.
Dude, we entrepreneured it up in New Chip, and
New chip, exactly. It was
that's where it
2021,
started.
right? New chip was 2021 around that time.
It was, yeah. So that man, time flies. Holy smokes! And here we are, still alive. Doing this entrepreneur thing. It's kind of crazy. So, how did you get into water, Sanjay?
Well, so it's a long story, but I'll keep it short. I have a technology background. IoT is where I focused on working at Cisco. They had something called Home Central, where the goal was to get all of these devices out there connected to the cloud, so you could get meaningful data out of all of these devices, and then actually actionable data, so you can do something based on the information you get. So that was the
Right.
idea. If you look around you, you have all kinds of consumer devices, focused on IoT. You have the smart lighting, everything is smart now inside your home, right? You could pretty much control even smart refrigerators and tells you what's going on. Uh, so while I was working in that space, I felt, there was a need, and there was less motivation to innovate, especially around utility solutions, looking at water, gas, electricity. And that's where the problem was pretty, it was just getting worse. Water scarcity. You get utility companies telling you, hey, look, reduce your water bill, stop watering on these days, do this, do that. And then you see a water bill is extremely high and you don't know why. You look at your electricity bill, you can't make sense out of it. You just take it at face value. Yeah, you get a utility bill, you got to pay it. And if
Right.
you want to figure out what's happening or what I can do to actually resolve this problem, I have nothing in my hands. So innovating in that space, I started looking into that. I actually moved my role from being I was leading an engineering team, software development and QA. I actually moved from that role into the startup into a product marketing and product development type of role, just to understand how to build products and take it to market. And I was lucky
Right.
at that time. I didn't think it was a good idea, but then now I think it's something that really helped me out. Is I was sent as part of my role to China to build a R&D team over there. So I got exposed to manufacturing, building products, looking at shop floor control, understanding that whole process of how to, visualize what you need, looking at the problem, looking at the solution, uh, creating the product specification for that solution, and actually going through the process of building it and bringing it to the market. So I got the
Yeah.
view of the whole thing, and that thinking about that, I did do a startup before, and it failed because I did not know this very aspect of getting products to market in an economical way. And
Right.
this helped me understand. I said, look, there are products out there. You see your water meters, you see your gas meter, electric meter. There's a lot of innovation happening on the infrastructure side. There are a lot of companies building infrastructure, but once it gets to the last mile where you have it in the buildings, sub-metering, getting stuff into the buildings, there was no innovation. You just have, and even for your utility meter, the main goal of the water meter, if you look at it, is to send information to the cloud for billing once or twice a month, so you get your water bill. It does not give you
Right.
more information than that, right? So just innovating, there are sensors available. So that's what my idea was, to bring in technology, bring in sensors, bringing the power of big data and analytics to make it pretty much a transparent open ledger. So if you're charging me for water, I want to know where I used it, how I used it, uh, whether I have been efficient using it or not, and what can I do to reduce my water bill, or if there is a leak, I want to know, and so I can take care of that. So all that can be done with sensor and technology, and that can be expanded out to the entire infrastructure, right? I mean, people are working
Yeah.
on all of those things, but we are too. So bringing that kind of intelligence for all the utility solutions, water, energy, gas, I think
So
it's something that I
so you didn't know anything about water. I'm getting a lot of feedback. I don't know why I'm getting feedback. Hold on. Can you hear me now?
yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. I kept hearing feedback. So sorry. So you didn't know anything about the conditions, what's happening in the
No,
water distribution system out in
nothing,
the utilities.
nothing. I was just
You just knew that the water meter was broke.
no, I was focused on analytics and software, and my goal was to find a space where this would apply. It's almost like the analogy I give this all the time. It's, you have your flip phone, right? The
Yeah.
main function of that phone is to call people. In the old days, all you did was call and text. You couldn't do anything else. And then
Right.
iPhone comes along and it just opens your mind. There's so many things you can do with it, right? So that's the
Right.
power of technology. Data, big data, analytics, sensors. Now you can measure your. My son wanted a Apple Watch to pair with his iPhone. He's like, I'm working out. I want to measure my you know, heart rate, blood
Yeah.
pressure. I mean, all that did not exist before, but it opens up a lot of opportunities. So when you put sensor and utility technologies like water meters for now, everybody, there are so many stakeholders. You have insurance, you have utility, you have property owners, you have tenants, you have manufacturers of fixtures who are looking to get rebates for their solution. Now we have data, analytics, and information for all of these guys. We can tell you which area, what properties, what's the risk profile. How you can reduce that risk profile. Utility companies, hey, look, these are the areas. This is how we are reducing water. This is how much hot water is being used in the building. These are the user behaviors. Fixture guys, okay, your toilet, your sensor, a toilet flushes 5 times every time somebody walks in. Maybe you need to tune that so it's not that sensitive.
Yeah.
There's so much information available. I mean, this is just some of the things that I'm at a high level.
Why do you, well, it's not, well, there's a why question there somewhere. I'll come back to it. But so just to understand a little bit more. So you were in, like, you're a tech guy, you saw an opportunity with something with the water. I want to focus on this water bill, right? You noticed that there's something wrong with the water bill. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
yeah, I
Okay.
didn't know what to do with it, at that point.
So you didn't know what to do with it. It sounds like it was an outrageous bill,
Yeah,
maybe.
it was.
Okay. And then you started to dig in and you went to China to learn more about the meters. And so to be more precise, what type of meter was in the building that you had?
It's just a regular, mechanical meter. I didn't even. It's the turbine meters.
Yeah.
It doesn't. I didn't know about the utility certifications and weights and measures. I just researched and looked at what the accuracy levels for these meters are, and
Right.
the way these meters get certified, there's no way it's going to pick up really low flow leaks or a pinhole leak or something that can really cause a problem. The real problem ones are the slow flowing leaks that you cannot detect, a continuous running toilet. Those things, if you can pick it up right away, you find the problem. That's something that a regular water meter cannot detect. There's a lot of limitations because it's not built for that. The, the
Right.
the solution was built for one purpose, to register meter reading, and somebody would either read it or drive by and get the information. everything seemed difficult. Even your
Oh yeah.
utility meter, you see people walking around. That saw no make no sense to me. Uh, you know, why you would have somebody walking around your home reading, taking a
Reading
picture
meters.
with a cell phone. I'm sure they
Yeah.
can find better things to do than that.
Right. So, okay, so you've figured out that there was an issue with the meters. You went and studied all this. You figured out a solution to this problem, correct? And now you have an ability to use sensors in let's say, a multifamily housing apartment complex, right? You can put sensors in different apartments, and you can analyze where leaks could be occurring, right? So the bills can be, don't get astronomical on these commercial properties. And then when the toilet's like running, your sensor can detect that at low volume, right, of water flow. And then what happens? It shuts off the water till it gets fixed and addressed by the
Yeah,
maintenance.
so there's a couple of options, right? So in a multifamily property, the owner has a dashboard, so he can get
Mm-hmm.
visibility of each and every unit in that property on his dashboard. Individual tenants will have a mobile app. They can see what's going on. They know, they get a disaggregated view of how they're using water, how much for shower, toilet, and other things. They even get a
Wow.
forecast for what their consumption is going to be next month based on how their consumption patterns have been in the prior months. So then they can adjust their overall consumption. But to your point, if it
Yeah.
detects a leak, there is a shut-off system built into the meter itself. So we are the only water meter in the industry that is certified by Weights and Measures that has a shut-off system and a temperature sensor built into the meter. Now we can add
Oh
a pressure
wow.
sensor on the coupling. So we have a coupling, the union has a slot in it, so you could put a pressure sensor. Now you can even measure the pressure of the water. So these
Hmm.
things allow us to pinpoint what kind of issue you have, whether it's a toilet leak, because uh, all of these consumptions have a specific signature. You're flushing
Yeah.
a toilet, whether it's a 2.2 gallons or a 1.6 gallon flush, you will see that signature on the back end. You will see exactly what a toilet signature looks like. Your shower looks different. The flow rate is different, pressure is different, and it's got a time slot. It varies from, say, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, some 15 minutes. Some people like taking really long showers. So it all depends. But you will see that variance. So what we do on the back end, we do machine learning as well. So it creates what's called clusters, right? So it creates all these clusters of consumption types. So it buckets the consumptions that look similar of the other ones, all of them. And then you have outliers that don't look like anything else. So those are the ones
Yeah.
we focus on to find out what they are, because the outliers are the ones that are typically leak patterns that we need to investigate, right? So once the system learns, it knows right away if there is a problem based on these signatures. But right
Yeah.
off the bat on the edge, we can look at what the consumption types are based on our learning and know that, hey, look, anything less than 1 gallon per minute or less than zero point 0.5 gallons per minute running continuously for a certain amount of time is a problem. Either somebody left the
Yeah.
faucet running, or so we have those things
Right.
all integrated, and we do it on the edge. The meter itself does it, so you don't have
That's
to
awesome.
go and do anything additional.
So not only is your application used for like commercial properties, which would make a lot of sense for owners to want to install your system, because water bills are astronomical. If you got 100 rentals in a condo association in a high rise, I would imagine it's got to
Yeah,
be insane the amount of
it's
water usage
it's
that
an
occurs.
ocean.
So
I say it's an ocean out there. All these buildings have
it's,
so much water running through it. You know,
that's actually a great point. Yeah, it is literally a building, a pool,
yeah. I mean, if
just in
you
the
if you
pipes. It's,
combine all the buildings in the city, imagine how much water is just running through
hmm.
all those buildings.
That's actually a cool illustration. We'll have to work on that sometime. That'd be really cool to do. So going back to your solution. Okay, so you probably didn't know much about the government side, when the utilities of how they manage the utilities outside the buildings, since you kind of were experienced more indoors with that stuff. What have you learned so far with how to work with government agencies and how to maybe bring your solution to their problems?
So interesting you say that, Chad. When I started this company, I took my idea to the local utility, the Los Angeles Water and Power. And my
Yeah,
idea was because I was looking at my meter outside my home, which is pretty much a utility device, right? I did not even know about sub-metering when I started this company. I was trying to solve the infrastructure problem that you keep talking about all the time, right?
yeah,
So when I went to the utility companies and I started talking about it, uh, there were some folks out there. It was an innovation hub for the Los Angeles Water and Power. So there was a couple of options. Utility solution, right? There are a lot of companies working on AMR, AMI technologies, and to different levels of implementation. They have some success there.
right.
Um, and then you can look at single family home, right? So you're trying to solve a problem for the homeowner with a leak detection solution. A lot of retail products out there as well, right? But if you're looking at
Right.
multifamily, there is a need for sub-metering. A lot of property owners want to build sub-metering as part of their billing infrastructure for water, gas, electricity. And they were also looking for solutions. Looking at all of these guys, talking to them, they're also looking to reduce their overall water risk, or trying to find issues in the building, because that's a huge cost. They have to pay insurance claims, or they have to pay out of pocket in some cases. And
Now, are you talking about the city or the
I'm talking
multifamily?
just multifamily at this point, right? The city is
Okay.
already a big problem, right? So, so talking to these folks, I think we pivoted into multifamily because that's when I started, and it actually happened. There was an event in the Los Angeles Clean Tech Incubator where a lot of builders had come looking for a new technology. You know how you have your accelerators, incubators, where you have events where you pitch to a lot of people. So I
Yeah.
was there, and there was this one guy sitting in the audience. He was a VP of purchasing for a large builder. So after the event, he talked to me. He said, "Look, we have this one project going on, and I like what you're talking about. We've already we're going to go into we're doing framing now. We're going to do rough plumbing, and things are going to start moving in about 3 to 4 months. Do you think you have this solution would work for sub-metering? Is it certified?" And that's the first time when it clicked to me that this is the market I need to focus on. This is it.
Yeah.
And then all my focus shifted from everywhere else and honed in on this one thing, that I got to get this thing
Yeah.
certified. And that's where this whole story for multifamily started. And
Okay.
we pretty much got that project up and running. Um, he wanted it in 4 months. I think it went up and running in 9 months. But it's just the fact of the matter is we got it done. We got it certified. Not only for that one meter size, we got it certified all the way to the entire spectrum. From 3/4 inch
Yeah.
to 4 inches. And that's how we are now in multifamily, commercial, and using that as a baseline, we built out the entire use cases that we are looking at for water.
Yeah. That's so you figured out that it was probably not a good idea to try and aggress the government side. It's more practical to use your solution in a private sector, like multifamily solution for now. I mean, because you and I have talked before, and
So
obviously,
as a
I think
startup,
you have
yeah,
some
as a
solutions for the
startup,
government side.
you need to find the lowest hanging fruit,
True.
and then what is the return on that investment of time and effort that you're putting? Because you don't have that much money, you have limited resources, and time is not on your side. So you need to get to market quickly, do things quickly. So when there is an opportunity, now we were working some projects with the local utility, with the school, and we started this one project with the Los Angeles School District. And believe me, this is in 2017 when we were selected to do this job. I'm still waiting to deploy that solution today. And we are still working on it, you know. So it takes that long.
4 years. No,
We are a
way more than
vendor, we
that.
are a vendor,
My math.
we are a
6
vendor
years
and
later.
everything. It's just that it just takes forever to work. And that's how the nature of the business. If we were focused just on that, we would not survive, you know. So
So if your system could really improve the way we have non-revenue water right now.
absolutely.
Like if a city decided, hey man, I'm looking for a solution to stop my non-revenue water loss in my collection system or distribution system, right? You're saying that obviously with the school district, it took you 6 years to even try. Like we're still waiting
We're
on
still waiting.
that. I mean, that's how slow government is. I mean, you're providing a solution to the water problem and no one's even accepting it 6 years later. That's
Yeah.
insane. This is the kind of stuff that's nuts. I mean, look, this is where we need to really figure out how to improve the government side of purchasing. I don't understand it. If it's a great technology and it's been validated, certified, and has the ability to help the community and the government improve the revenue, why are we not able to streamline the system to get your technology in these agencies, these government agencies, to start improving the water? Now you've mentioned something about, and I know this too, dead end hydrants, dead end water systems. You get Legionnaire's disease and stuff like that. That stuff is like a big deal, and you got a hydrant flush, and I don't know if a lot of government agencies actually know how potentially bad this could be, but you get water sitting in a pipe, the chlorine will dissipate over a period of time. There's no more
Yeah.
chlorine, and then you start dealing with a potential for a disease. Can you explain a little bit more about your experience with that stuff and how your solution could help?
Um, yeah, for sure. So, in terms of the utilities, you're talking about hydrants, right? So, I remember driving to one of the local utilities here to pitch my solution. And
Yeah.
while I was driving in the driveway, there was a pipe that was burst and water was just spurting out like crazy. So I drive in there, I talk to the engineer, and I was telling them, look, that's the problem we can solve. He said, yeah, it's a little more complicated, than that. It's not just that. I mean, at some point, we understand the problem too, but the solution is not as simple. It's not, he didn't explain why it's not simple. For me, we are a startup company. We have a solution. Give us a pilot. I'll just install one over there, something like that, and show you how it shows up on the dashboard right away remotely. And you could shut off the water, and then get this problem fixed. And it isolates where the problem is because that's where the meter is detecting flow. So you could create zones and do a lot of things. And I'm sure there are solutions out there. There's a monopoly for some of the big players on how they run this whole thing, but there has to be a channel for startup companies to show, if there's innovation, if it makes a difference. Now you bring up
Yeah.
Legionella, right? So Legionella, it's a big problem after COVID when people start going back to the offices. You have stagnant water sitting in the pipe, and if water is not continuously flowing through the pipes, there is a chance for the hot water lines. The temperature of the water drops down below 120 degrees Fahrenheit, and that could then cause bacteria in the pipes, and that is a huge problem. And if you look around, do some research, you'll find a lot of hotels go through this problem. A lot of commercial buildings that open up, if they're not careful, this could be a huge problem. But there's nothing
Interesting.
nothing in the system, in the plumbing infrastructure, that monitors for that, right? So we have a solution. It's a clamp-on solution. So it's not invasive. You don't have to cut the pipe to do something like this. It's a clamp-on monitoring solution that monitors hot water lines. So you get flow information. You know how much water is being used. And you can also constantly monitor to make sure the temperature is stabilized at a certain level where it's safe
Yeah.
for the tenants. And that is what it's an easy solution to implement, and it provides a lot
It's
of
it,
value. So I think this is where we want to be more. We want to be doing a lot more marketing and trying to get the awareness out for folks.
yeah, man, you got a great opportunity to, fix a big problem as we keep moving into, non-revenue water loss and diseases and stuff like that with our utilities. It's only going to be needed where you're bringing a solution to the table, but we need people to like hear about it and know about it. At least to bring it to where people can digest everything you're talking about here. I, I know just from experience, politics is big. Obviously, bureaucracy is common in public sector, and it's almost very difficult, like you're describing, to get your product in, almost because there's other companies that are already connected. Those relationships are already established. How do you think you're going to address maybe that? Because I think you're going to need that kind of backing. Get a couple communities to help support this so that they can implement maybe some kind of ordinance to put this into these private sector large buildings and stuff we're talking about. Any thoughts on that?
I think so. I think, like I mentioned earlier, I strongly believe that the solution to the problem is not just going to be at one point. You're looking at the entire ecosystem. There are a lot of players, right? Uh, if there is a loss, the insurance is involved, right? The utility gets involved. The city has some say in it. So there's money coming from multiple sources. So a lot of people have tried it. I mean, if you're looking at some incubators and accelerators, they look at look at focusing on smart city applications, or looking at focusing on infrastructure related to insurance or utilities. Um, so there is some attempt being made to bring technologies, or the new technologies that are coming out, and make it visible to these people and try to create some pilots. Even when I first started at the Los Angeles Clean Tech Incubator, they had uh, a smart building initiative where they were looking for large builders to come into the incubator and open up their properties to try out new technology. I think
Hmm.
that really helped us get a little exposure with builders. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we would like to see more. Obviously, if someone goes and looks at what the type of work you're trying to do, and if there is some channel for technologies that you are looking at, I mean, I think you're doing a great job. I mean, you bringing in all kinds of people together, looking at solving a specific problem. But I
Yeah.
think that
Thanks, man.
has to then extend out to having a channel where people say, look, hey, Chad, these are all people you're talking to. You're vetting all of these different solutions. Here are some of the locations where we can try these out, right? And then
Right.
after they try it out, then there has to be some kind of an analysis of what were the results of this. What do we have today? How can we use this to improve? I think that needs to be available.
I 100% with you on this one because it's needed. But here's my struggle with as I interview public sector employees and operators and stuff that are in this space, is there's obviously a disconnect as government leaders bring in new technology, new solutions, and it goes down to their operators, for example, that manage the water system. The issue with that is they're not trained on software. They're not trained on technology as much as you would think. And they have a lot of other responsibilities and other technologies they already have implemented that they're trying to keep up with already. And I have a video of this where I interviewed this operator, and he's like, it's almost like we have technology, but it's overcomplicating their processes. Like now we're bringing this stuff in, but we're complicating their job even more. So they're not going to want to have more
That's
technology
right.
come into these cities. So that's a big issue internally, I think, with some of the agencies, and their processes. So we'll have to try and figure out how to.
Yeah,
I'm working on. I'm trying.
it's
Yeah.
great you
Like,
mentioned
how do we?
that, because when I was pitching, when I started this company, and like I said, I was working at the Los Angeles water department. I was working with some of these guys, and the only reason they had an innovation team at the Los Angeles Clean Tech Incubator is the only reason they had that whole process going to get innovation in was if you go and talk to anybody in the water department and try to pitch these things, nobody is interested. They're like, look,
Oh,
we
you're
have
never going to get
everything
buy-in.
working. We have, and they have old processes, old way of doing things. And for them, if it works, don't mess with it, leave it, right? And it doesn't matter, if some of the things are broken, or if there's not enough information, or if the processes can be improved.
Right.
It's working, so we don't want to touch it. That's basically what you hear from them 90% of the time.
That's spot on, man. You're exactly right. It's a problem that's pretty. Uh, it's big. It's everywhere. It's every community's. Just trying to implement new technology, new ways when we're traditional, and this is the way we've been doing it for years. We're comfortable. Why are we bringing this in? That just causes me more problems because these are things I don't want to learn.
So how
I
do
don't
how do
want to
we
try
break
and
this cycle?
man, Sanjay, you give me a you'll have to give an interview with me, and then I'll kind of throw it out there. But
Right.
uh, I to be honest with you, I'm still trying to figure out that method to the madness, so to speak. And I think there is opportunities there. We just you almost have to find the most innovative cities that want to make change, and their leaders have got to want change and drive that, because otherwise, if you don't if you're a leader like a mayor or a director, right, and you have to implement this new type of technology like yours into your organization, you have to get everyone to buy in. Otherwise, they'll potentially sabotage it. They won't use it. They'll work it against you and say that it doesn't work. I've experienced this firsthand. If you don't get the buy-in, and then if they say it doesn't work, it goes up to the food chain to the leader, and then they're like, cut it. Because they don't have the time to watch whatever they implement within the city. They don't have time to observe it. It gets handed off to the next department head, right?
Yeah.
Then the next department head's dealing, trying to keep above water, so to speak. And he's got his team, he or she's got their team, and you got to deal with the employee side of things too, right? And then if they don't like something, they're going to give resistance. And then that leader's just stuck.
Mm.
That's really what's happening is you got to get buy-in from everyone, and it's almost impossible, especially larger cities like LA. I mean,
Yeah, that's tough.
you're talking about hundreds of people. Yeah.
Yeah, and you see
Yeah.
problems
So
everywhere, and the same problems I saw a few years ago with all the infrastructure stuff is still there. I mean, nobody has fixed anything.
that's the thing I talk about is like we haven't been changing. We're getting there, but someone's got to talk about it to start changing the behavior patterns that we've created habitually over the years of traditionally just doing what we want. Oh, it's paper process. Let's continue to use paper process because it makes sense. I don't want to change my way of doing things. Why would I want to do that? I don't know, man. That's a tough question. You got me on the hot seat.
I got you on the hot seat.
You did. Well, thank you, Sanjay. It's been a pleasure, man. This is a great conversation. How can people get a hold of you? What's the best way
Yeah, they
to,
can
to
go
reach
to
out?
our website. It's saya.life, and then they can reach out to me. My email address, s and first letter of my first name, my last name at saya.life. Reach out to me.
Love it.
Happy to connect. And I'm on LinkedIn. I'm
Sanjay,
on LinkedIn. Look me up on LinkedIn, and we can chat there as well.
it's perfect. Thank you, Sanjay, for joining me on the hot seat. And you have a great Easter.
Thank you. You too. Have a great Easter.